I just got back from a solo trip, my last one of the year, and it was focused on a couple of things that are helping me propel into 2024. And today I want to talk about those things that we can do, that you can do over the next few weeks before the year closes out to help you set 2024 up for the most success possible. My name is Patrick Menefee, and I'm here to help you level up your money, your mindset, and your mission in order to help you become the best possible version of yourself. I want to take you through these three different things, and I'll take you through them from the perspective of what I just did in my trip this past week and some of the benefit that comes from it. They'll also include both a high level, basic, if you can only do a little bit of each of the three steps, do this. If you can go deeper, I'll share that with you as well. The hope is that no matter whether you have an hour or two between now and the end of the year to sit down and do this, or you can dedicate a couple of days, this will be beneficial for you to move forward. Now, the first thing is reflection. There's a tendency to just jump into next year and think about what we're gonna do next without actually looking back. And there's an enormous amount of value that comes from looking back. Looking back helps you figure out what you're thankful for, what went well, and the things that went well that you can continue to carry forward. What didn't go well? What are the things that I need to change and do differently in order to not make the same mistakes in 2024? Where were there failures? Where were there great successes that I totally forgot about? Now, tactically, what does that look like? I think one of the most effective ways to start is use your calendar. I started on Sunday night on my trip. I went back to January 1st and I flipped through every single week on the calendar and I made a list and I started documenting everything that took place. And in that, I forgot about some of the great successes. I forgot about all of the real estate that I've sold this year. I forgot about some of the people that I met with earlier in the year that turned into really great connections that just started earlier this year. I forgot about all of the trips that I've taken and all the things that I've done. And by creating this list, it helped me get clear on what I'm thankful for and all the things that I had to be thankful for. It got me really clear on how far I've come over the past year, which then helps me figure out how far I can move forward next year. And it helped me define key components of this that I can apply going forward to either my own personal life or that I can apply to clients or to you to help you move forward as well. So if you only have a little bit of time, flip through the calendar, look through, find the major things that are on there. If you have more time and if you want to dive even deeper, here's where you can take it to the next level. You can pull out bank statements. Look through your year and figure out where you spent a bunch of money. There's the saying that show me your bank statements and your calendar and I'll show you your priorities. There's a lot of truth to that. Where did you spend money this year? What were your priorities? Another thing that you can look through is if you journal, look through journals. If you keep a notebook with notes from work, from your business, or from events or things like that, look through those notebooks. I went back through every single one of my notebooks from different events that I went to this year, the coaching events, the mastermind events, and going through all of that brought a lot of stuff up that I had forgotten about and lessons that I can apply. I also spent a lot of the year working with a coach, and so I went back through my coaching notes and pulled out things very similar to what I did with events. And again, bring stuff top of mind. So to recap, if you have just a little bit of time, go through your calendar, pull out everything and take notes on it. If you have more time, dive into journals, notes, coaching, events, all of those. Now, the second step, this is the exciting step. This is where you set your goals and your targets for next year. A lot of times we do this just simply based on a progression of where we are right now. And so we think, well, you know, I did $100,000 this year, so next year I'll do 120. Forget that. Dream. Think big. Think really big. What is it that you actually want at the end of the year? Not what you think you could do or what maybe people would be happy with. What do you personally want by the end of the year? This exercise of doing the goal setting and dreaming should be exciting. Throwing stuff on the wall. You may already have some targets. Especially if you already have a mission and a vision that you're working towards, what you set as your target for next year should be in line with that and should take you closer. I'll also challenge you on the flip side of that. If you don't have a greater mission and a greater vision that you're working towards, spend some time thinking about that. It probably isn't going to get done by the end of the year if you haven't started focusing on that yet. And if you need help with that, I'd love to help you out. So please reach out to me. That is the long-term anchor that is really important to focus on. You've probably heard the analogy of the plane going from Los Angeles to New York. And if it's 1 or 2 degrees off, it ends up an entirely different state, entirely different location. That's a difference of being off track on where you're trying to go. That applies. If your goal next year is huge, but it's way off track from what your vision is and it doesn't stay in line with that, it doesn't help you and you need to pivot. So be aware of that. But most importantly, the process of goal setting, a lot of times it feels so heavy or it can feel heavy. This should be fun. When you think about what you want to accomplish next year, when you stand on December 31st, 2024, what makes you want to jump up and down and get so excited about because you accomplished exactly what you wanted? Forget possible, forget trajectory, forget all of these other things for a little bit. You can figure those out later. Forget about the how it's going to happen. What do you want? Now that leads me to the third part, which is actually the how. It's important when you come out of this goal setting, and it doesn't need to be all at once. These can be separate, distinct times. I'd actually encourage that to be different times. But A lot of times, if we do allow ourselves to get caught up in the big picture and we get really excited about where we're going, we sit in that excitement. But without a tangible plan to get started and carry that momentum forward, it flops, we don't go anywhere, and by the end of January, we're frustrated. So the immediate thing that you can do is start setting up your plan for 2024 for the first quarter. Figure out, in order to get to that target by the end of the year, what can I start doing today? What are the habits that I need to start putting in place? Now, if you set your goal big enough, you probably don't know how exactly you're going to get there. That's okay, there's nothing wrong with that. Start taking the steps that you know. There's an idea Jason Dries talks about a lot that I love, that is pursue the known while being open to the unknown. The way that you get to your target, you may have a lot of stuff to figure out, but if you start taking the steps, you start putting yourself in the right situations, you start meeting the people, you start doing the habits, you start doing the thing, you build that confidence, everything else will start to come around you. You just have to stay consistent. So I encourage you, build out that plan for the next 3 months of 2024. If you do it beyond that, if you try to get really tactical with the steps, I found that to be a little bit more challenging because a lot can change over the course of a couple of months. But if you can set a very, very clear and tactical plan for how the year starts off, and then you can schedule the time at the end of March to then evaluate the next quarter and run one quarter at a time. Now all of a sudden everything changes. Now I'm not hoping that I'm running towards something in June and now all of a sudden everything changes. I pursue the first quarter, head down and sprint, pull up at the end, reassess, and evaluate the next quarter. All of that should take me closer to my goal for the end of the year. So those are the 3 steps. You've got 3 weeks left if you're watching this the day that it comes out. If you're watching it after it comes out, first of all, hit the subscribe button so that you get it every day when I release these videos. But spend a little bit of time on this. Spend a couple of hours just flipping through the calendar, figuring out, doing the reflection, figuring out what you're grateful for and what you want to keep doing, what you need to change. Spend a couple hours thinking about, where do you truly want to be at the end of the year? You can continue to come back to that and reassess that if you don't have 100% certainty, but think about it. What is the trajectory? What is the work that you want to work towards next year? And then spend some time sitting down saying, what are my immediate next steps? It doesn't even have to be a quarter. If you need it to be 2-3 weeks just to get you going, that's fine. But set the first plan, set the first steps, and then take those steps. Again, hit the subscribe button and come back here next week, or we'll talk more about how we can continue to move ourselves forward and how to get our mindset right as we focus on money, mission, and mindset.